Welcome to Selling the Hard Way. Simplify, align, and accelerate how you describe your value. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I'm your host, Coco Salmon, five-time founder, impact investor, and creator of the Force for Good system. As we begin our journey today, let's first ask yourself, does your team describe what you offer in wildly different ways than you do? In wildly different ways than each other? Do customers, prospects, hesitate even though you know your offer is valuable? Are you struggling to scale because your offer isn't clearly defined or not in the language your customer understands? And are you ready, finally ready to make your business easier to sell, scale, and grow? Welcome to today's masterclass. That is the purpose of why I created this particular package. What you offer defines your products and services in clear, specific, and straightforward language, exactly as your customers would describe your products and services. So sometimes we get hung up and we talk about what we offer in confusing jargon and with too many embellishments or specifics. And what our customer needs is a way to lock in and understand, oh, you're a software company. Oh, you are a consultant that helps companies align and grow. No jargon, no fluff, just honest, practical value that you provide. This isn't about your product names or fancy titles. It's not marketing language. It's about clear, simple truth of what your customer can understand about what you offer. So let me just right away give you examples of what I mean. So these are brands you know, or a lot of brands you're going to know, so that you can quickly say, oh yeah, that's what they are. But then you want to think about your company and your customers, your services and offerings, and how you can create the same kind of simple language. So BMW offers cars, yes, but high performance luxury automobiles. That's what they offer. Calm offers guided meditation and sleep support via a mobile app. Very simple, straightforward. HelloFresh delivers meal kits with pre-portioned ingredients and recipes. Simple, accurate. Peloton offers at-home fitness classes through a connected exercise bike. See how simple and accurate that is? Stitch Fix offers personalized styling and clothing delivery services. So we're going to keep talking about examples, but start to plug into the simplicity and accuracy of what you offer. What is that simple language? So every masterclass, we focus on building your growth flywheel. And every leg of the flywheel includes a core growth element, part of the Force for Good system. And each leg we talk about in one of these master classes, and it usually accompanies at least one Force for Good tool. So today we're talking about what you offer. It's a simple language that describes what you offer. Having that helps you get your flywheel going. Today's tool that goes with it is called the What You Offer Developer. It's a proprietary tool that will lead you step by step to defining what you offer in this clear language. So today we're going to use the developer, you're going to define what you offer, and you're going to identify two ways to get what you offer into motion. One habit that you're going to repeat weekly or monthly, and one high potency action. So if you haven't already, download the What You Offer developer right now. Okay, so why do we avoid doing this? Why do we not do it? Is the question. Well, it feels too obvious. That's one reason. So we think, oh, it's very clear what we sell. We already know what we sell. So we all assume we know and are talking about it, even though we're not, because it's not written down. So there's also a fear when we do this of narrowing down to specifics. Founders often avoid specifics, worried they'll exclude potential customers or miss opportunities. And so what we want to do is just let that fear go. Know that what we offer is enough. Often we're just too close to the business. We can't understand the disconnect between what we're saying and what our customers hearing. So we can't see that the way we're talking about our services or our products isn't the way our customers would. So we're too close. And so we avoid doing it because we don't see the purpose. We're also avoiding hard trade-offs. So defining what you offer means also clarifying what you don't offer. And that can often feel risky or even vulnerable. So just remember that to be chosen by a customer, you must be understood. And to be understood, you must be clear. So that's what we're going to home in on today in this masterclass. So what are the benefits of having a clear what you offer statement? Well, first of all, it unlocks your momentum. When everybody describes your offer the same way, whether you're in customer service, you're in marketing, or you're selling, wherever on Facebook or on Twitter or on whatever platform, when you're in front of customers, when you're saying it the same way, it creates momentum. Second thing is a customer says yes faster because your offer is finally clear. It builds trust and helps customers quickly understand if you're the right solution. It also sharpens your competitive edge because, again, it'll be clear what you do versus the masses. You'll better understand and communicate what sets you apart in what is almost always a crowded market. It also strengthens team focus. It helps you all move in the same direction. This is what we do. This is what we sell. It helps teams prioritize features, marketing campaigns, and customer success initiatives. It also lays the important groundwork for scale. Scalable companies have a clearly defined and repeatable offer, something new team members and customers can immediately grasp. So this is the benefit of having a clear what you offer statement. And it doesn't have to be a laundry list of all the possible things. It's clear, concise, in ways that people can understand. Great teams don't guess. They grow through shared language and shared purpose. So today we're moving into what we offer in shared language. So where does this fit in the bigger Force for Good system? If you look at the 4-page growth plan, 4 pages is everything you need to run your business, everything to unlock the puzzle of growth, everything you need to know what to do today, this week, this month, this year, everything for your team to know what to do today, this week, this month, this year in order to move your company forward. So the what you offer is on the first page. It's part of the Know Who You Serve section of the 4-page growth plan. And really, it sits over here under the authentic customer and offering section. It's a very specific way to articulate what you do. And just remember that every piece of the growth flywheel, including what you offer, helps you move through the stages of company growth. So whether you're at existence and you're just getting started and you're you haven't sold much, or maybe you've sold less than 100 grand worth of services, you're right at the beginning. Knowing exactly what you sell, and what that offer is going to help you gravitate around your MVP, help you get clear faster. When you're in survival mode, this is the place most companies sit and never get beyond, and it's because it's overly founder dependent. It's the systems and language isn't set up to be scalable, so you're stopping yourself. So knowing exactly what you do will help you move out of survival and into scale. What you'll see with that about any scale and impact companies is that they have a very clear articulation of what they sell. They have a clear definition that they can resolve and talk about over and over again. So what you offer is related to a couple of other statements that we have on the 4-page growth plan. And I want to talk about those for a second because they're similar but different. So what you offer is a description, clear, short, few words as possible. It describes what you deliver in customer language. Answers the question, what do we do for our customers? The who, what statement is another statement that you'll find on your 4-page growth plan. It's another essential core growth element, and it describes who you serve and what they need. So this is in the language of problem and solution. So who do we serve and what do they deeply need from us? So it's different than what you offer that says, okay, we sell cars, luxury cars, right? This is, we serve, and it provides a particular audience and a particular need. It says nothing about our services. Then the market position. Okay, this is describing where we fit in the market compared to all the other offerings. So it describes why should customers choose us over anyone else. This is your competitive edge, your company promise, and the basis for differentiation. So what you offer doesn't say anything about the customer in particular, and it doesn't really say anything about what makes you unique, but what it does is it describes your offerings in simple languages that your customer can understand. All right. So the what you offer statement, it describes what you sell. The who, what statement clarifies your audience and their needs. And the market position statement defines your uniqueness and your competitive edge. So let me give you some examples that illuminate our what we offer statement. Notice, just listening for what we sell. Pediatric nursing at home for medically fragile children. Who, what is for overwhelmed parents of children with complex medical needs who want consistent, compassionate in-home care. The positioning was the most trusted provider of pediatric in-home nursing care in Connecticut. See how different they are, and yet how together they provide so much clarity and understanding. Co-Fertility, great company. Just a investment fund that I'm a part of just invested in Co-Fertility. And so what they offer is egg freezing and donation programs for women who want options. Okay, so egg freezing, donation programs. Who, what statement? For career-driven women seeking fertility autonomy. The positioning, the first and only egg sharing platform designed to create mutual benefit. So notice the different sounds of the language. Today we're focused specifically on what we offer. There are other master classes and tools for the who, what statement and the positioning. But just so you know, these are all on the 4-page plan, and you may be saying, didn't we just look at this? No, you didn't just look at this. This is different. This is a very clear statement about what you offer. Again, it just defines your product and services in specific language, exactly as your customer would say it. So we're going to walk through, now's the big moment, we're going to walk through the offer developer, what you offer developer, and we're going to help you find that language. Okay, so I'm going to just shift to this view. Where is the view I like? Here it is. Okay, so that you can really see more of the screen. So now we're going to move right into the next screen here, and we're going to start off. Let me go back for a second. So we're going to brainstorm the problems and desires of your customer. Then we're going to map how operations meets all those needs. So we're going to talk about the offer in broader terms than just this one statement in order to then get you to the statement. So then we're going to choose 3 ways to elevate what you offer, and then we're going to clearly define your what you offer statement. So this tool is helping you really do 2 things, okay? First, it's going to help you articulate what you offer to customers in their words, not yours. So really simple language, but that's the last step. To get you there, we're going to see your business through the lens of service. You're going to recognize how every function of your business, whether it's a person in customer service or marketing or sales or finance or technology, operations, manufacturing, every person is contributing to the value of what you're delivering. And together it's part of your offer. But at the end of the day, you have one simple offer you want to be able to articulate in like 8 words, 10 words max. So most companies define their offering as just their products or services, which is ultimately where we want to get to. But really, I want you to think about your offer as so much more than that. So we want to align all of the whole company to being part of the offer. So what you offer is the total experience your company delivers from first impression to lasting impact. So that's what this tool, the What You Offer Developer, is meant to do. So first, we're going to brainstorm customer problems and desires. So always important to revisit, what are the needs of your customer? What do they come to you with? They're coming to you with a list of problems, pains, and desires. What is the reason they're coming to you? Why are they hiring your company? Why are they buying your product or service? What is the urge or the need or the pain or the problem? So take a moment right now and just list what those problems, pains, and desires are from all the facets that they're coming to you with. And don't hold back. It could be, some customers come with this problem, some customers come with this problem. You just want to get it all out of what the problems are, problems or desires. It could be like a really important big desire, and there's probably a problem associated with that desire. So make sure you articulate all of that. So, and what do they really wish for? What is it they are craving? What is their hope that can finally be achieved? So you're going to list, I would say, at least 20 problems. And then you're going to place a star next to the top 10 needs. So start to collect them together, start to aggregate them. So you're getting a sense of what the core problems are. And again, you're going to just circle the top 3 most urgent, important needs. Now, right now, I don't want you to think about your product or your services. I just want you to think about, what are the 3 most urgent and important needs of your customer? And think about it as what is the $1 million problem? if it's a big company, what would they pay $1 million for? If it's an individual, what would they pay $10,000 for if this thing could be resolved? Or $100,000 if it's something a little bigger, but still a personal thing. So like, what's that big urge? It's we look for the painkiller rather than the vitamin. So find what those core things are and really make sure that it's somehow addressed by your product. Okay. So go ahead then, write those down, star next to top 10 needs, and circle your 3 most urgent, important needs. And now we're going to take a deeper look at your operations. So you've just listed out a whole bunch of problems, a whole bunch of needs. Okay. And now we're going to step back and go through the different functions of your business: human resources, marketing, selling, etc. And we're going to think about some of the activities that take place in each of those functions. And then we're going to say, well, which customer needs are being addressed here? And sometimes when especially if you're in a non-customer facing part of the business, you might not be thinking about the customer needs, but here's your chance to do that. And then we're also going to think about ways to improve. And again, this is all part of what you offer. So we're going to do this one function at a time. Let's go to the first area. We're going to talk about human resources. So this is your talent attraction, engagement, and retention process. And so these activities that you might put down in this section are: you hire value-aligned team members, you onboard team members, you give everybody clear roles, you offer benefits, you run growth plans and reviews, performance management system of some kind. You might have DEI or inclusion programs within your company, and maybe overall you try to foster a safe, supportive culture. So that's what human resources activities looks like. So now what's the benefit the customer needs addressed by those activities? Well, let's see. There's the customer is now being cared for by a team that's capable, kind, and committed. So what are those? So I'm giving you ideas here. So what are the customer needs that are being addressed by human resources doing these things? If customer service is doing well, perhaps they're creating a customer experience that is consistent, competent, and filled with trust, right? Possibly the customer's feeling the difference of working with a team that loves what they do versus one that doesn't. If your human resources team is doing its job properly, perhaps your customer is feeling the benefit of engaging with a company that has a great culture and that values service and human dignity. So that probably feels good to your customer. And knowing that behind every promise is a person who takes pride in delivering. So these are some examples of how human resources might see themselves as part of the offer. And then you might say, okay, well, what's in my areas to improve, right? So what are things you could do within your HR system to improve the way your customer receives your team? What could you do to improve? So maybe you improve your method of hiring. So hire from heart and values, not just the resume. Maybe you see now I need to train every employee to understand their role in this customer journey. Maybe we need to celebrate customer impact in the internal team, right? So what are ways that you can improve your HR systems so that your customer gains a good benefit? Great. So now we're going to move to the next one. So now we're going to look at marketing. So this is your customer engagement process. This includes everything you do within marketing. So creating branding, campaigns, social media, events, webinars, however you market yourself, website content, emails, collecting and sharing customer stories, all the activities, right? So write down any of your customer activities, your marketing activities. And then what are the benefits, not to your company, not to the sales process, but what are the benefits of being a part of that journey? Hopefully they feel heard. Hopefully they feel spoken to and inspired. Maybe they feel seen, right? That could be addressing the customer need. Perhaps you're understanding how the customer's understanding how your company is helping them. Maybe you're giving them tools, giving them ideas in your content that will help them right away for free. Maybe you're connecting emotionally, right, with each person, each customer, each prospect. Maybe you're starting to give them a feeling of hope that there could be a company that stands for something good, that matters, and that cares about them. So what are the ways you are helping your customers along the way? So in the Force for Good brand, we give away tools every week, right? So every week we're giving away content that will hopefully help our customers, you, to feel a sense of empowerment, an ability to keep growing their company, knowing what to do, knowing what fosters growth. All right, so ideas to improve. What are ways you can do better here? So these are sometimes ways that are more obvious, right? You can use real customer language. You can shift from promotion to connection. You can tell more stories of transformation. You can align your marketing with your deeper emotional customer journey. So write down some ideas of how you can improve what your marketing activities can bring to your customers' needs. Moving to the next one. Now we're going to talk about sales. Okay, this is the part where we enroll prospects to become customers. We invite you to be into our journey of becoming a paid customer, and that's what sales is about. And oftentimes it's upselling, cross-selling existing customers. So this is where we qualify leads, hold discovery calls, share proposals and demos, address objections, close deals. Maybe we collaborate with other partners and operations. We track our pipeline and conversion data. All this is part of what you do in the sales process. So what are you doing to help the customer along this way? Write down all the ways as you sell to your customer, you are helping them with their problems. Remember the problems we wrote down at the beginning? What are their problems? How are you helping them? Maybe in the proposal, right, you're actually giving them some solutions, whether they sign up or not, will help them. Maybe they're experiencing insights along the way. Maybe you're giving them a path that's clear and tangible that will help them imagine a better future, and that's giving them hope. Maybe they are connecting with you in a way that's really honorable and builds trust and helps them feel safe and supported. Maybe it's also just helping them understand that their need is not, frivolous, that it's a real need, and that when that need is solved, that there will be a good benefit for them. So know that helping them justify that the investment they're going to spend is worth it for them. So these are all the things the decision-making process that they're toiling through, and you're helping them do that. So then what are some ways that you could improve your sales process, not just so you can sell more, but so that you can meet your customers' needs? So look back on that first page, all those problems. What are some of the problems you really want to help address in your selling process? What are those core 3 problems? How can you can think about in your marketing and in your sales, really help them, generously help them during the sales process? How can you shift from pitching to partnering? How can you listen for emotional cues, not just logical needs? How can you align your language with their desired future so they feel understood and that the solution aligns with theirs? How can you help to see how they're going to have trouble adopting to that solution from the beginning and help create a way for them to get what they need throughout the customer journey. So, what are the ways you can make every sales touch point a moment of clarity, care, and confidence for your customer? So, just think about your ideas to improve in sales so you can create more value to your customer at this stage. Again, it's not value for you, the company, it's value for your customer. Next, we want to look at your product and service part of your business. This is the specific products and services you sell. It's the part of your business that oversees the product and service itself. So this is where you design and develop core offerings. This is where you source or build components, package and deliver products or services, ensure quality, reliability, consistency, update and evolve offerings based on feedback. So for some companies, this is a very big department, and others it's really small. So think about that. What the customer's needs that are being addressed. Hopefully whatever activities related to your customer are really focused on their core problems. So what are the problems that are being solved by your products and services? Write those down. These are the customer's needs being addressed. They're solving real problems with solutions that work. And think about how your product does that. Feel deeply understood and well served. So your product should be a reflection of understanding your customer. So you want them to feel like, oh, this is exactly what I need. So look for the ways that your product helps customers feel that way. It also will provide, when you have a well-built product or service, transformation, ease, empowerment, relief. So what are those feelings? What are those transformations? How would they describe that transformation? I went from, overwhelmed to feeling clear and confident. Like, what was that transformation for them? And then it helps them feel a sense if your product is well designed and if the price is set so that they feel like, gosh, I got so much for this. So look to see that the investment, how are they feeling about their investment? And also, what are their needs that are being addressed around trust? And hopefully, what are the ways that your product really helps them feel trust? And so write those things down. And then you're going to hopefully start to see some ways you can improve, because no company is perfect. We can all think of ways we can improve our product so that it better aligns with those 3 core needs, right? To help them feel really understood, to help them really feel that transformation, to help them really feel as though they are getting so much more value, or they're using the product and service. Sometimes a big part of the ideas to improve has to do with really using the service or the product to its fullest extent. And so they're getting the value and being conscious of the value. So involving customers early to co-create more relevant solutions, bundling offerings. How could you improve? How could you make so this or that could come together? How could you add emotional or experiential value? How could you improve your customer success? Maybe through quarterly customer success reviews. Maybe you can elevate the packaging, the onboarding, or the aftercare or delight. All right, so now we're going to move to the next area of how you serve. And we're going to look at manufacturing and delivering. And so again, depends on your product or your service. This is how you build or create what you sell. So you source raw materials or components, you produce, assemble, or prepare the offering, you manage logistics, you ensure quality, safety, consistency, you track performance, optimize for efficiency. So what does that activity look like for you in your manufacturing or delivering process? And then what are those needs that are being addressed? So hopefully your customer feels a sense of confidence that what they ordered will arrive as promised. So do you have a really good system in place for delivering? Write down what that is, the components that are really good. Do they have trust in the quality, integrity, and safety of what they receive? right? So write down all the ways that you have a high quality in your service, high quality in the product you're delivering. What are, are they feeling relief of any delays or defects or gaps in service? So write down anything about that the customer needs. So like at my healthcare company, we were always focused on making sure we didn't have call outs. So nurses calling out from going into a shift, that was a huge need. And so we did have problems with that. So we always were in the third column of ideas to improve that. What else does the customer need? Reassurance, again, that their time, their money expectations are respected, honored, and you're over delivering. Like, where are you on that? Do you feel like your customers feel like, yeah, this is such a great investment. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I would do it again and again. And if not, then what would be the ideas that you could improve in the last column? All right. So what are ways to improve your overall manufacturing delivery? So how could you be quicker? How could you lower the time? How could you streamline delays, errors, the things that customers complain about in the delivery process? What could you improve? Is the flow of using your product or service working? Are there quality checks that you could check in on? Are there customer feedback moments? How could you reduce waste, increase sustainability? How could you train teams to see their work as part of the customer experience? So these are all opportunities to improve what you offer. Okay, now we're going to look at customer support. Okay, so I like to see a way I like to coach this is you want to see every single department, marketing, sales, product, legal, compliance, finance, as part of the customer service team. Okay, so this we're talking specifically about the part of the business that is, but I like to see every single part, your billing systems, your accounting systems, everything, technology, people in technologies are part of customer support. So your customer support systems and approach, this is where we talk about responding to customer questions, issues, and feedback, providing troubleshooting and resolution, documenting and escalating concerns, tracking satisfaction, creating FAQs and help documents and knowledge tools, different ways to help them solve problems on their own or get support, have an online chat, whatever those activities are. And so what are those needs then of your customers getting addressed? So go back to your list of what their problems and needs are. And again, see how is your customer service system helping them with those needs, right? Hopefully they're feeling heard and respected, right? And how do you do that? Hopefully you're helping them resolve specific problems that they're calling in about. Hopefully you're helping them regain trust. Hopefully you're able to maybe even reach out to them proactively. Maybe there's something that you're doing in customer service that does that. What can you do to feel less transactional in customer service? Maybe there's certain things you're already doing. Maybe there's ideas in the third column to improve. And how can you just know that their voice can spark improvement? So how your customer service actually helps them with their problems. Write down those ideas of what customer needs are being addressed, and then think about all the ways you can improve. How can you better train your support team around both empathy and empowerment? But maybe you also need to work together between support, customer support, and some other part of the business that knows the customer. Maybe it's sales or account management or something like that. How can you close the loop with follow-ups that show accountability? How can that be improved? How can you improve proactive outreach for common or unknown issues? How can you, or to thank a customer, how can you turn complaints into opportunities? And how can you use insights from support to inform products and process upgrades? So these are all parts of how we think about what you offer. All right, moving to the next section. Think about your customer onboarding process. Now, this is one of the most important moments. The first 90 days and it depends on what your product is, right? But your first moment of will create that connection of onboarding, and it can either fuel a desire to continue working with you forever, or it can fuel a desire to never work with you again. So what is that process? It's how you say thank you when you first make that payment. How do you send welcome materials? How do you schedule kickoff calls? How do you provide training, demos, walkthroughs? How do you follow up with them? How do you assign customer success lead or support contact? How do you share the next steps, timeline, expectations, success milestones? How do you stay in touch with them? All right. And what are those needs that are being addressed? So they want to feel right off the bat that they made the right choice. What are the ways that you are doing that? What are the ways that they feel guided, not left to figure things out? What are those things you're doing? What are the ways that you're giving them immediate value that helps them feel that early win? What are the ways that you are helping them feel known, supported, set up for success? What are the ways that you're helping them trust that your team will show up for them, right? That they're not, okay, they bought, now everybody's gone, right? What are those ways that you can do that? The other needs that you might want to consider also are things like, how are they going to learn how to work with you? How are they going to learn who these new contacts are? How are they going to learn how to use your product or service to its best? How are they going to learn the next steps so that they don't walk away feeling a sense of confusion? So think about what that confusion is for your particular customer. And what can you do in the steps in the days after that will lead that customer to not feel that sense of loss, frustration, confusion? What are those things that cause that to take place, especially right after they've made a purchase, oftentimes within the first 90 days? And what are the ways you can improve? How can you more strongly improve the onboarding path? How can you automate the welcome and those workflows without losing your warmth? How can you create onboarding dashboards or visual roadmaps? How can you add surprise and delight into your experience? How can you gather quick feedback, adjust and improve? All right. So this is a much bigger part of the customer journey, and I love this conversation. We'll talk more about that we have a separate masterclass on that. But just for now, think of some ways you can improve what happens right after your customer says yes, and how can you meet more of their needs more quickly. Look at that list of needs and say, what needs am I meeting already? And how can I shine the light on that the moment that they get that need met, like celebrate it for them, with them? And then what are those other challenges or problems that they may have a harder time solving that you and your onboarding can help them solve? All right, next is customer retention. So you've now onboarded them and they've been around for a little, and now you want to keep them. You want to keep them whether they're a subscriber and they just keep subscribing, or they come back because they want to buy another product from you, whatever it is, or they want to sign up for another session, or whatever the service might be. So what are these activities? What does customer retention activities look like in your company? Write down what those are. How do you retain your customers? Maybe you do regular check-ins and value reviews. Maybe you do loyalty rewards or customer appreciation programs. A lot of retail companies do that. Ongoing education. What does that look like? You keep re-engaging, or insider access. Maybe you do community building of some kind, or peer connection, or proactive problem solving and support. So what are those ways that you are helping your customers stay connected to you? And along those ways, again, look at your needs. So right now in the customer retention stage, you should be ticking off customer needs. All those customer needs in customer retention stage, all those needs should be getting resolved. one way or the other. You're helping them do that. Maybe that becomes content for how you reach out to them, or content for what you put on your education, etc. So what are you doing right now that's helping them along the way? How are they experiencing the transformations? How are they getting it celebrated? How, in what moments are you watching them have their pain and problem resolved? And like, what percentage are your customers getting that pain resolved and their victory won? How are you measuring that? How do you know it when it's happened for them? How are you celebrating it with them? So, how are you helping them feel valued beyond the sale? Write down how you're helping them feel valued. How are you helping them grow? How are you helping them know their own voice? And how are you helping them feel like their voices continued to be heard? What are the ways you do that? And maybe that's part through your customer service or through marketing or something else. But how does that happen? How are you making sure they experience consistency, care, and responsiveness? And how are you helping them believe they belong? What are the ways that you create a feeling that, like, yes, I love this company and I belong, I'm part of this community? And what can you do to improve? What can you do to experience more of those moments where your customer's celebrating, helping them overcome the challenges and problems? What are ways that you can personalize retention efforts based on usage and goals? How can you offer exclusive experience or content for long-term customers? How can you celebrate the key milestones of their journey? Can you measure the milestones of their journey? And how can you build a referral system rooted in true advocacy and genuine retention care for who they are? All right. Keeping on, more of what you deliver then is your customer complaints. This is always, they always say this, and it's the truth. How you respond to a complaint can really change a person, a customer, from a lukewarm to a total stellar, loyal, never leave you. So complaints are your place to shine, although we don't always do well with this. So the activities with customer complaints are, write down your activities. How do you receive them? How do they come to you? How do you log them? Do you have a way to log them? How do you respond to them? Who responds to them? And who has, what are the ways that you respond with empathy? What are the ways that you assign ownership to the problem? What are the ways you investigate the issues and try to resolve the root causes? What are the ways you follow up and ensure that the customer is satisfied? What are the ways you track patterns to drive long-term improvement? So these are all the things you already do. And then what are those needs of the customer that's being addressed? So again, what are the needs that they call you with, right? Of course, they want to be heard. They want to be respected. They want to be taken seriously. So hopefully those are on your list. Hopefully they'll feel safe be able to bring up concerns without any friction. You want them to feel that way. But what are their needs that are being addressed? So they're calling because something is broken, their experience hasn't shifted. So what are those things you're solving? What are those moments that you're taking and transforming? So what are the ways you're regaining trust, right? Are they regaining trust? What are the things you're doing in the journey to help them? So what are some ideas to improve? So this, I can't say enough about this. Training all team members in conflict resolution and empathy, especially whoever's dealing with your complaints, is super, super, super important. This was something I did at Illume. We had a very specific technology that everybody used when they did their onboarding about how we respond to conflict, whether it's with a team member or it's with a customer. So having really good training in place is really important. So that's an idea for you. What are those methods for how you're closing the loop? Making sure you have a good system to close the loop. How do you review the customer complaints? Do you look at them weekly, monthly? Do you ever look at them? Do you have a list? So that could be important, right? How do you empower frontline staff to resolve issues quickly, not sit back? What is your policy on it, right? Is it within 24 hours, within an hour? Like, what happens when there's a complaint? How do you get it done faster? How do you achieve a feeling of connection? How could you maybe send in a handwritten apology or personal thank you gift for giving another try? How do you review and elevate your standards? So what are the ways you can improve your customer complaint system? I'm sure we all can improve with this. And so look for your ways. And again, it's just another way that you offer solutions to your customers. Then look to your quality assurance, your internal systems to maintain excellence. And really, your quality assurance is hopefully maintaining excellence to solving your customers' problems. So again, make sure you have clear standards for excellence that are connected to your customers' problems. So if you don't, add that in your ideas to improve column. But quality assurance usually has its checklist, right? And a lot of times it's internally focused. How can we get through faster? How can we be efficient? How do we make sure our quality is good, which is often run to customers? But what are those clear standards and where are they kept and how often are they measured? Every day, every minute, once a month? What does that process look like? Monitor product service consistency. It's the ways you conduct internal reviews and audits, the way you test systems and processes for reliability, provide feedback loops for improvement. Early stage companies often don't have a lot in this unless you're, in a healthcare field or maybe even something that's regulated that requires it. But what are those quality assurance steps you're taking? Then the next is, what are the customer needs that are being addressed? Think about this as you are going through that quality process. So you want to make sure that your QA person, whoever's doing quality assurance, feels a sense of connection to the customer. What are those quality issues that the customer cares about? What do they want? Problem solution, speed, resourcefulness, empathy that are coming through, that are being measured by quality assurance. So write down all the ways your customer needs are being addressed through your quality assurance mechanisms. Maybe if you're billing by the hour, you want to make sure that there's oversight in how much time is being spent on anything, how much you're being billing to the customer, right? So value is important to your customer. Knowing your standards, make sure your standards match the promises. So look again at those promises you're making. What are those things that you're saying you can do? Are you delivering? And then if they are, that's going to be a benefit to the customer. How is your quality assurance system ensuring that your customer is not feeling frustrated, not experiencing delays, and not having a poor experience either with the product, the service, or the people in your company? So how are you measuring that? And what are the ways that you're already doing that? And what are the ways that your customer is feeling proud of what they've invested? So maybe you produce reports that say, our customers are getting these benefits and it's measured through your quality assurance system. That is also a win because that makes people feel good. Okay, I'm part of a system, I'm part of a team or company, I'm buying from a company where they're getting these results. And now I want to make sure I retain those results too. And what are your areas to improve? So how can you include customers in your feedback loops, in your test, listen, and refine process of quality assurance? How can you invite team-wide ownership of quality, not just one department? How can you use real-life scenarios to stress test your delivery? How can you celebrate when standards are exceeded, not just met? How can you make quality a visible, living part of your brand? So these are all ways that you could improve in your offer. Now let's talk about research and development. This is how you examine future products, services, and solutions for your customers. It's a lot, right? There's so many things you do in your business, even if it's like there's only 3 of you. So somehow you're sort of in R&D mode, tracking trends, marketing shifts, and unmet needs. So how are you doing that as a company? Maybe you have a whole R&D unit that's doing that. How do you prototype new products, services, and experiences? What does that look like? How do you test and iterate? All right. How do you collaborate cross-functionally to innovate? How do you translate vision into offering? So look at all the ways you're doing R&D. Some companies are going to have a lot of this. Others might have very little. But write down what those are. And as you do, start to think about the customer needs being addressed. Okay. So again, when you're doing this, is there a way that you can benefit the customer? Right. So maybe you are listening for ways that the customer is having these problems solved, and you're sending out. I do this. I send out when I read an article that has to do with a problem I know my customer has. I will often share it. It's part of my research. It's part of my development, but I will share it so that my customers are getting the benefit as well. Well, how are what you're looking for? How is it meeting the future customer needs? So maybe you're thinking about your customer and what their problems are and what you want to do to solve their problems that you're not solving now. So what are some of the ways that you're thinking about that right now? Write down the future needs that you're hoping to address, or the ways that you're thinking about the problems of your customer. So maybe you're helping to grow partners, right? Maybe you're looking for ways to access new solutions. Maybe you're looking for to experience a company that's proactive, not reactive. Maybe you're looking for other companies that are doing that and learning from them, talking to their customers. So think of all the ways that you, through your R&D, are actually helping your customers and getting their problem solved. Again, look at their list of problems to remind you of what they are. And then think about ways you can improve, involving your customers in early stage development, having these early conversations with them. How can you prioritize inclusive, diverse voices? How can you shorten the gap between ideas and test? How can you make R&D customer facing, sharing what you're working on? How can you dedicate time for bold, blue sky exploration that involves your customer? So it could be you have R&D gatherings and talk to your customers, or it could even be a virtual event that you talk about, roundtable discussions. So look for ways that your R&D can actually be part of what's solving the problems of your customer. All right. So we made it through the list. Let's see. No, we didn't. We're still in part 2. We are continuing on with billing and payments. So this is the way you bill your customers and receive payments. And so this is how you issue your invoices, manage recurring billing, set up payment processing, track accounts receivable, provide receipts, updates, confirmations, support financial clarity and transparency for your customer, and ensure compliance and data security for your customer as well as within the business. So your customer wants to, what are all the needs that they have with this process? First of all, they want it to be easy. They want it to be simple. They might want options. So how do you make that process simple, easy options? How do you provide them the records that they need so that they can, have their results, give it to their accountant, their bookkeeper, to their finance department? What do you do to keep records clear? So what are those things you're doing to help them? So you want them to feel financially safe if you're having online platforms, or that they're giving you a credit card. You want them to feel that they trust what they're being charged is fair and accurate, right? You want to have simple, seamless payment experiences. You want to avoid any awkwardness or confusion. So what are the ways that you do that? How can you help them feel respected and valued, especially when issues arise? What are those issues that come up, right? They click on the button and it doesn't go where it's supposed to, right? Is that happening? See if you can fix that. So what are the areas you can improve so that your billing and payment system is so customer friendly, so aligned with your values, and also helping really meet the problems and solutions of your customers' needs? All right, next, in looking at the offer, is tech. All right, technology. So again, you have people in the background who are working on your technology, your tech stack, all the choices of whatever you've got running, whether it's Microsoft in the background, and then you've got these different online components, SaaS systems. So The activities of technology are maintaining internal system software and hardware, supporting digital tools for communication, operations, and delivery, developing or integrating platforms that power the customer experience, ensuring uptime, speed, and security, enabling scale and automation across the business. This is the business of technology. And these people probably don't touch the customer directly very often. So we want to make sure that they think about the customer needs that are being addressed. So what are those needs? Well, the customer wants to feel a seamless technology experience. They don't want to feel like they have to go to multiple technologies. They want to feel like everything's in one place. It's not confusing. It's very reliable. They want to interact with tools that are intuitive for them, that run quickly, that there's no frustrations with whatever tools they're using, interacting with. They want to trust that their data is secure and respected. They want to experience consistency, even as the business grows. As your business grows, they want to feel a sense of consistency. They want to feel like your company is modern, capable, and built to last. So they want to feel a sense that you're a smart company. You've got good tech. So what are the things that you're doing that communicate that? And how is your technology experience giving them that feeling of confidence, seamless experience, and helping them feel like their problems are being resolved and their problems are most important to you as a company? And what are the things you can do to improve? Are there ways that you can improve your user interface, your customer experience? How can you automate common workflows that are currently contain friction? How can you monitor and resolve tech issues proactively? How can you avoid having the customer service rep say, well, my technology is down. I can't do that. I can't look for that because I can't see that data. I'm going to have to call somebody. So what are the ways that you can enable your tech to give all the customer-facing people and all the customer experiences to make it better? How can you build systems that are scalable so they don't break when you add more and more customers and team members to them? So all part of what you offer. Next is customer success. So this is overall, okay, this is the last of the different ways that we're looking at today. So what are all the ways you ensure your customer perceives that they are pleased and successful with everything you offer, soup to nuts? So what are the ways you proactively check in with customers to ensure satisfaction? What are the ways you monitor their usage and engagement to spot risks and wins? So when was the last time they came to the store? When was the last time they used their software subscription? When was the last time they referred a friend? There might be part of sharing tips, resources, and best practices. That could be part of how you engage through customer success. Maybe you host success reviews or milestone checkups. Maybe you help customers achieve their desired outcomes, maybe through quarterly reviews or something like that. What are the ways what are you doing? And then what are the customer needs that are being addressed? And again, with customer success, it's how does the customer measure success? What are the problems and solutions that you are delivering to them and they're feeling the value of it? So when do those moments come? When do they have those moments of success? How do they celebrate it? How do you celebrate it? How do you help them feel that you're reaching out in a way that's not overbearing, that feels authentic, and you're always helping them acknowledge their journey? What are the ways you're always helping them see a brighter future, right? So oh, great. So you achieved this milestone that you wanted to achieve with this SaaS product. Now let's talk about what you want to do next. So there's always a brighter future that your product or service can help them achieve. So what's the ways that you're helping create that? What are the ways that you're letting them know they're not alone in their problem, not alone in their journey, not alone in their desire, not alone in their goal, whatever that is? How are you helping them feel valued as a long-term partner not just a one-time transaction? How are you helping them gain clarity and confidence that they made the right choice? All right. And so, what are the ways you can improve your customer success? Again, how do you know if they're successful? How do you measure whether they're successful? So, one thing you can do is you can automate thoughtful touch points to celebrate milestones. You can create success playbooks by customer type or goal. You can assign a dedicated success lead for top tier accounts or for all accounts. You can offer value add strategy sessions or check ins. You can measure customer success beyond satisfaction, tracking real life outcomes. And so, what are the ways you're helping them do all of that? And what are ways you are improving your customer success journey? And last, is there anything else? Can't possibly be anything else, right? So if there is, what are those other activities you are engaged in? And what is helping them? What customer needs are being addressed? And what are some ideas to improve? All right. So now, done so much brainstorming and you've thought all about your whole company, all that it's doing to create value for your customer. So what are 3 ways in the next 90 days, just 3, that you want to focus on to help elevate your offer, your overall ability to support your customers' problems, pain, and desire? Write them down. 3 ways. Boom, boom, boom. And now we're going to focus in on what you offer. So now you have mapped out the full value. Okay, so we've gone from really big and wide picture, and you've thought about all the things, and hopefully you've been thinking about the customer pain and the customer problem. And you've been thinking about all the different support groups, sales, marketing, product, technology, finance. You've been thinking about how they help the customer use the product and service you offer. So now it's just simple. What do you offer, right? Go ahead without any complicated language. Write down what you offer. Be clear and specific. Avoid fluff. No selling. No big adjectives other than accuracy adjectives. Examples are Rent the Runway offers designer clothing and accessory rentals by subscription. Sweet Green offers fresh, made-to-order salads and grain bowls. Notion offers all-in-one productivity software for notes, tasks, and wikis. TIA offers virtual and in-person healthcare services focused on women's health. Simple. Write it down. Well done. You have looked at all aspects of your service. Write down what you offer in simple terms and be sure to move it over to the 4-page growth plan. Just remember, when you're clear on what you offer, your team aligns, your message sharpens, and your company becomes a force for good. So absorb all of this. Absorb all the ways you serve. You probably serve in a lot of ways beyond what you think about every day. Your offer is more than your product. Notice the operational clarity leads to customer clarity, right? So all of these different things you do and all the ways you can impact their problems. Think of all the places that are probably opportunities, and that's good. That means you've got decades of opportunities to make improvements and continuing to build and retain customers every time you add one of those wonderful improvements. And you found new ways to improve your value, new ways that you can really offer value to the customer. A well-defined offer is your growth unlock. All right. A well-defined offer is your growth unlock. Being able to speak it clearly, but understanding the big shape of all that you offer. The clearer your offer, the greater your impact. Write it down on your 4-page growth plan. Allow it to settle in. Notice that it might help you now with some other parts of your 4-page growth plan. Just going to let that land. And meanwhile, let's look at high leverage habits. Let's identify one thing you can do to keep your offer front and center. Something you can do daily, weekly, or monthly. So maybe it's a review customer feedback monthly. Maybe it's host monthly offer alignment meetings. Maybe it's have every new hire memorize the offer, right? Maybe it's invite someone new to recite what you offer at every weekly meeting. I like that one, I'll tell you. Include offer statement in all new pitch decks. Your offer is your invitation to transformation, to trust, and to a better way. Pick one new habit and one high potency action, one bold action to move your company forward using the power of what you offer. So what's one thing you could do this week to integrate what you offer? So maybe you redesign your homepage, you add language, maybe you record a short internal training, maybe you do a training and have a recording and include that training in all of your future orientations. Maybe you simplify service descriptions in all of your proposals. Maybe you host a What We Offer team workshop. So growth accelerates when your whole team can finish the same sentence. And certainly what you offer, everybody should be able to use the same words. So today in this masterclass, we did a lot. We defined what you offer in very specific terms and in how you look at it for your whole company. We learned how to use the What You Offer developer, which hopefully you can see is a great tool. You can use that with all of your company. You could have a workshop together where you split up into different parts and everybody in the team takes a different section. You could have groups of 2 or 3 or 4 people and you could do it together and then have a share session. You've integrated this into the 4-page growth plan. You've identified one new habit that you're going to add into one of your rituals, and you're going to commit to one high potency action, one thing that will integrate your offer more profoundly into your company. And remember that powerful growth begins with precise intention. So what is next? Well, let's see if I can get my system to work. What's next? If you haven't already, be sure to read the 6th chapter 6 of A Force for Good. Go and read that chapter. It really integrates how what you offer fits into the whole system. When you have the book, you'll have the full Force for Good toolkit. All of the tools, all the PDFs are there for you. And the tools themselves have instructions. And the full Force for Good system is really included by just following the book. And don't forget, we have a free tool every week. And that tool you can get at aforceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. We launch a tool and we launch a masterclass just like this. And you can get it for free for the week. And then we have the Growth Accelerator. And this is a way to come together and on demand, your time over a 12-week period, you can install the full Force for Good system in the sequence that it was really meant to be installed. And you can build your 4-page plan and also integrate the important rituals that get the flywheel spinning. So the flywheel happens when you build the flywheel by defining all the core growth elements. It's the rituals that actually get them spinning. And that is what is a big part of the accelerator journey. You can do it alone with your team, and the tiered pricing starts at just $599. So you can find more about that at aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. And thank you. I love being with you and being a part of your journey. And I just want to remind you that the world is made better by women-led businesses. So let's all go make the world a better place. Have a brilliant day.